Um, lately in the secret place, in fact, for the whole last week, I guess, I just keep seeing, I see a door, and it's like one of those old cellar doors, like goes down in a root cellar, and it's kind of angled down, and Jesus is just standing there next to it. And I'm like, what is this door? And he's basically, it's the door you read about in Revelation 4, Matthew 6:6, Isaiah 26:20, door to the ark. And like, why is it angled down? Like, wouldn't the rapture door be up? Isn't that door going to open up? And I'm just like, and finally he answers. He's like, remember, when you go to the secret place and you go to be with me, you're seated in heavenly places with Jesus. So that door is angled down to earth. So we're going up through that door. And I don't know why, but every time I go there, I just see him standing next to it. That's all I see. I don't know what that means. I just telling you guys what I see. And ultimately, really, it doesn't matter. It's the rapture today, this year, 4 years from now, 40 years from now. The point is what Jesus always makes. He always says, watch, be ready. Are we ready? Are we ready to meet him? Do we have oil? Whenever it is, we just got to be ready. Because really, like, this life is a wisp. It's a vapor in the wind. It's here today. It's gone tomorrow. Nobody laying on their deathbed ever reflects on their life and has a single care about anything worldly. When they reflect on their life, on their deathbed, they think about things like, did I love much? Did I leave a legacy of love? They think about things like eternity, how they're going to spend it. Jesus said, he said, the way is narrow and few find it. But a lot of people go to church. A lot of people believe in Jesus. But do we live? Do we put on what he paid for? We read and we say and we talk about a lot how his precious blood purchased our way to the Father, right? Like, to his presence, like even now. But like, that really happened. Like, God really stepped down and shed his own blood for us to get to the Father. For us to be with him. And to be like him. To restore what was lost in the garden. To restore that image of God that he created us to be. Like, he created us for that. Like, he didn't just feel creative and pick up some dirt. Like, he has a purpose for each one of us. And he died to restore that purpose. Like, he has a reason that we're here. He has a reason that he made us. Jesus said, the works that I do, you'll do, and greater works than these, because I go to the Father. What kind of works is he talking about? What did he do? He did his Father's work. To glorify the Father. Your life is hidden in him. You have died, and your life is hidden in him. And if your life is hidden in him, and he is in you, then you're empowered to do the works that he did. And he was talking about miracles, yes, but he wasn't just talking about miracles. He was talking about manifesting God on earth. His love, who he is, bringing the kingdom to earth. And if your life is hidden in him, then you're protected. If you're in him, you're protected. He said, I have given you all power and authority over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall harm you. And there is no room for interpretation in what he said. Like there's no maybe there. Think about when Jesus was walking around on the earth and he would encounter somebody that had a demon, right? How did demons react? They freaked out. They looked at a man and they said, "Ah, the Lord is in the body of a man." They trembled in fear. I mean, he knew who he was. Jesus knew who he was. He knew that he was God in the flesh, and he was walking this thing out as a man. And the demons looked at him and they knew who he was. And they look at you and they know who you are. And they know whether or not you know who you are and who's in you. I want to read Philippians chapter 1, verse 28. I'm just going to pick up kind of in the middle of this sentence here. It says, "And be not frightened in anything by your opponents." Who's our opponent? Satan. In any way it comes at us. Any of his power and authority. This is a clear sign to them of your destruction. Of their destruction. This is a clear sign to them. So if you're not frightened of them, it says, that's a clear sign to them of their destruction. But to you, it's a clear sign of your salvation, and that from God. Now, I know the Bible talks a lot about not being frightened. Don't be scared. There's 365 times they say you're told not to be afraid. And I think that the gist of that is it's not talking about feelings. He's talking about choices. Like I will be afraid, but I will put my trust in him. I will not give that fear a place. I think that's what he's talking about. Okay, I also want to look at the parable of the sower. Mark chapter, that's in 3 of the Gospels, but I want to look at the one that's in Mark chapter 4. And Jesus said that if you don't get this parable, if you don't understand this parable, you're not gonna get any of them. You got to know this parable, he said. Okay, so the sower sows the word. These are the ones along the path where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word that is sown in them. What does Satan come for? It's not just to take you out. He's coming for the word of the kingdom. He's coming to snatch what you hear. He doesn't want it to take root in you. These are the ones along the path where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan immediately comes and takes away the word what was sown in them. And these are the ones sown on the rocky ground. The ones who, when they hear the word, immediately receive it with joy, and they have no root in themselves, but endure for a while. And then, when tribulation or persecution arises on account of the word, immediately they fall away. Okay, so they don't trust God. They're not giving him trust. Right? So they fall away. And others are the ones sown among thorns. They are ones who hear the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches and the desires for other things enter in and choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. Okay, these are people living for themselves. What's in it for me? Whatever I do, I'm doing it for myself. But those that were sown on the good soil are the ones who hear the word and accept it and bear fruit 30, 60, and 100-fold. Those are the ones that have a good relationship with the sower. They put their trust in him and they live it for him. You have not surrendered what you worry over. You own it and it owns you. And you're a slave to whatever you're surrendered to. But what you surrender to God, you are free from. God's not here to give us our best life. He already did that. He already gave us every spiritual blessing. We are here for God and His glory. That's what we're here for. His plan is to live in us, transform us, sanctify us, empower us to walk in love and walk in the light as He is in the light, to manifest Him. Ephesians 3:16 says that according to the riches of His glory, He may grant you to be strengthened with power through His Spirit in your inner spirit, man. All right, this is going to be good. I'm excited about this. Okay, let's look at Luke 6:47. Everyone who comes to me and hears my words and does them, I will show you what he is like. Okay, I picked this one. This is another one that's in several Gospels. I picked this one because Jesus says, particularly on this one, everyone who comes to me, hears my words and does them, I will show you what he's like. He's like a man building a house who dug deep, laid the foundation on the rock. And when the flood arose, the stream broke against that house. Matthew's Gospel, identifies a storm. There's wind. It's a terrible storm that comes. The stream broke against that house and could not shake it because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not do them is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation, sandy soil. And when the stream broke against it, immediately it fell. And the ruin of that house was great. So who wants to live in a house that's only doing as good as the storm around it?
I do.
That's only doing as good as the storm around it.
Yeah, that's my house.
That's not a good house.
No, it's not.
The storm, what's interesting about this parable is the storm comes on both houses. The wise man builds a house, the storm comes. The foolish man builds a house, the storm comes. It's coming. That house is coming. Jesus said, I will show you what it's like when somebody, comes to me, hears my words, and builds on the solid rock. I'll show you what it's like. How's he going to show you? It's going to be revealed in the storm. And when the storm hits, and it hits the wise man's house, and all the houses around it are flattened, that's when you shine, because that's when everybody looks at that house and they say, dude, tell me about your Jesus. I want to hire this house builder. I'm going to have to build a new house, and I want that house builder. That's when God really is glorified, right? Through the storm. If you're only in life for yourself, then you're only doing as good as people treat you. If you're building your own house, you're only doing as good as your circumstances. As good as the storm around you. If you're in it for yourself, then you need the storm to be calmed in order for you to do okay.
The Old Testament, God talks about how the Jews would only come when there was problems or storms or they were in trouble, and then they were crying with their whole heart.
Yeah, yeah.
How many times?
Only coming to God when they needed Him. Yeah, yeah. So no matter what, that storm is coming. The storms will keep coming. So do I build my house on the storm and then ask God to protect it, like you're talking about? Or do I dig down and build my house on the rock and know and trust He has protected it? He is protecting it because that's what He says He'll do, and He's good for His word. Who's ever dug? Like, done some serious digging? Like, Jesus, isn't it interesting? Jesus said, whoever digs down and gets to the rock. Who's going to get to me, He says. Who's going to get to my presence? Like, I'm going to beg, I'm going to plead, I'm going to kick, punch, scream, and fight. No matter what I do, I am getting to that rock. I am getting to him. We glorify in our afflictions, and Jesus is glorified in our trials and tribulations. We're to count it joy when we suffer persecution, trials, and tribulations, because that's when we can shine God's light the brightest, is in the storm, in the darkness. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord God delivers him out of them all. Okay, so if you're like me, you're thinking, well, wait a minute now. You know, when God was running me through this parable, I thought, well, Lord, what about when you're out in the boat with your disciples? You calmed the storm. If I'm supposed to stand strong in the storm and just let it come and reveal you in the storm, then what about why were you out in the boat? Why did you calm the storm? So let's look at that one. Let's look at Mark chapter 4, same chapter. Isn't that interesting? 4 verse 35. And on that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. Now, do you think Jesus knew what was going to happen in the boat? Saying, I think that he knew. A great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But when he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion, and they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" So, the real lesson is not in him calming the storm, like we always teach and we always learn. You know, like we've always been taught, is like Jesus calmed the storm. You know, he'll calm the storm in your life. That's not the lesson that we're supposed to pick up from here. The lesson is what he modeled for us. What did he do? He got in that boat knowing that storm was coming. What did he do? He took a nap on a cushion. He didn't honor the storm. He didn't glorify the storm. He gave it no place. He didn't even acknowledge it. And then he rebuked the disciples for their little faith. And yes, he got up and he taught them a lesson about who is greater than the storm. The power that was in him is going to be in them. And that they shouldn't be afraid of the storm. Like he got up and he calmed the storm, rebuked the storm, and teach them a lesson. So if the storms are tearing apart your house, it's a sign to you. God is allowing it to show you that you need to rebuild. He's not stopping the storm. You should be napping in the storm. You need to rebuild. You need to dig down, get on the solid rock, and build a solid house. Stand firm in your faith. If the storm is beaten in your house, you're not ruined and it's never too late. It doesn't mean that you are coming to destruction. Yeah.
Made it halfway.
Made it halfway. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Until he looked at the storm, right? So yeah, those storms, we shouldn't be focusing on just trying to make the storms go away. You know, the victory is not in making the storm quit. The victory is remaining strong in our faith and being unfazed through the storm. Because Satan is going to keep huffing and puffing and trying to blow our house in. and he's going to keep trying to keep our eyes on the storm. And the one napping in that boat, you know he had a good, strong relationship with the Father, with the one that's mightier than the storm, greater than the storm, right? I think of it like this. Like I think of this analogy. Like if you're gonna try to get down the river, and you hire a river guide to get you to the other end of the river, right? You're not hiring him to get rid of the rocks, the rapids, all the dangers in the river. That's absurd. That's not even realistic. You're not hiring him to get rid of that. You're hiring him to get you safely through the rapids. You're not getting in that boat and saying, "Oh, hey, whoa, wait, hey, there's a big rapid ahead. Could you make sure and get me around that, make sure I'm safe through that? I want to make sure I get through that rapid safe." No, you hired the river guide and you just get in the boat and you know he's going to get you through them safe. You're going through them. You're not getting in the boat to go around them. So Jesus conquered that storm long before he ever got up and rebuked it. He conquered that storm when he took a nap in it. That's when he conquered the storm. And I think that praying for protection is good. Like I really do. And I think that there's definitely a time for that. But I think there's also a time to go higher in our faith a little bit. I think that there's a time that we're supposed to declare a thing and it shall come to pass. Because a lot of times our prayers are basically just fear with words. Like that happens. Like I've caught myself doing that. And we know, like with healing, we know that if we're praying from our worry, from our concern, from our need, from our fears, that prayer's we're not going to see results, right? It's the prayer of faith that gets results. I've looked. Maybe you can point out a place to me, but I've read the Bible, and particularly in the New Testament, I can't find a place anywhere where Jesus or the disciples is praying for protection. The disciples, when they were in that boat with Jesus, they didn't pray and ask for protection. They didn't wake up Jesus to ask for his help. Like when they didn't pray to him and say, "Jesus, there's a storm, help us, save us." They didn't even say that. They woke up Jesus to tell him he's about to die. "Jesus, you're going to die. Look at this storm." They told Jesus he's going to die. And then he's like, "Look, you guys, come on. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Look, I'm greater than the storm." Psalm 91, for example. Psalm 91 is not a prayer for protection. It's not asking God for protection. It's declaring that you have it. Like he has already blessed us with everything. We already have health, healing, deliverance, protection, provision. We already have it. It's covenant promise. We don't need to live for those things. We've already got them. Psalm 91, I will abide in the secret place, and I will say of the Lord, I will declare, he is my refuge and my fortress. No evil shall be allowed to befall us, and no plague come near our tent. It's not going to happen. I don't have to beg him to make sure it doesn't. Right? I just, like, if I just have faith and I believe that he's already promised it. Yeah, David and Goliath, yeah. Yeah, he didn't ask God. I didn't read anywhere in that story where he asked God, "Protect me. I'm going up against this giant. I got to know you have my back, Lord." He just knew. Yeah. And so yeah, I just think that there's a time for that. But if you can't do that in faith, if you can't say, "Lord, go with me," in faith, and it's kind of hard to do because I think that if you're in it, if you're in the storm, You know, that house that's built by the wise man, it's in the storm. That house isn't sitting there, you know, the guy isn't sitting in his house begging and pleading, you know, Lord, please make sure, you know, keep this house strong. No, you dug down already and you built it on the solid rock of Jesus Christ, and you have covenant promise. That house is protected. You know, Satan's coming for what God built. He's coming for the word. Okay, the fiery furnace. We know Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they went in the fire. And we know another man, Jesus, appeared in the fire, right? And we know that God didn't put out the fire. If God put out the fire, this is so important. There's so many lessons in these stories. If God put out the fire, then we would have to have our fires put out in order for us to be okay. If God had put that fire out. God refused to honor the fire. He refused to acknowledge it. He was greater than that fire. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we in the fire for? When we're in a fire. If you're in the fire for you, you'll get burned. Nobody who is living life for themselves is ever doing good. It's just the way it is. Think about Revelation. The book of Revelation in what chapter is it? It says that they will overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony, right? You know there's more to that. And love not their own life unto death. So if you don't have the last part of love not your own life unto death, then where's the power in your testimony? The enemy wants us to keep our eyes on the storm. The enemy wants us to be afraid, wants us to only think about how we're going to get through the storm. So we don't shine. Because you can't have your eyes on the storm and on the kingdom. You can't do both. There's no way. You're either going to look at the storm or you're going to look at God and look to His kingdom. The only way to walk on water, the only way to be in fire without getting burned and to withstand any storm is to do it for His glory. The storms are actually something good. Like we should actually welcome them. The storm is for the kingdom. The storm isn't for you. If you're let me put it this way. If you're trying to avoid storms in life, then you are not trying to reveal God's glory. Like how can you try to skirt around every storm that's put there for the purpose of revealing God? I was reading the Gospels the other day, and Jesus pointed something out to me. You know, He really loved John the Baptist. And he said, how did He put it? He said that among men there is none greater than John the Baptist. But He said John the Baptist is less than the least in the kingdom. And He mourned when He found out that John the Baptist was beheaded, right? But God was pointing out to me, how did He handle it? And in Matthew it says that immediately He went off alone, He prayed, He sought the presence of God, and then immediately a multitude followed Him, and immediately He just went right to work ministering to the people, glorifying God. He never lost sight of who He is and what He was put here for. He grieved And it's good to grieve. It's okay to grieve, but not without hope. You know, we have a lot of loss. We have a lot of suffering. We have a lot of hard things, a lot of storms, and it's not bad to grieve. It's not bad to have feelings, but not grieve as if we have no hope. Because we've already have everything. Like, we lose sight of that. Like, we have already been given everything that we could ever possibly want, ask, think, or imagine. We've already got it. And so we're not here for ourselves. We're not here to get through life without going through storms. That's not why we're here. This isn't even our home. Okay, so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they got in the fire, right? Why did they get in the fire? King Nebuchadnezzar put them in the fire because they wouldn't bow down and worship the golden statue of himself, right? But that's not why they got in the fire. They got in the fire because they were only going to bow to God. That's why they got in the fire. And what do fires do? Like a 7 times hot fiery furnace, what does it do? It will refine precious stones, right? Yeah, remove impurities. So another way to look at it is they didn't get burned in the fire because there was nothing to burn. Yeah. So if you're getting burned, there is purpose in it. You are getting purified in the fire. It's still not a waste. It's not a waste of a fire. The wise man's house didn't get shaken in the storm because there was nothing there that was shakeable. The house didn't fight the storm away. And Jesus simply napped the storm away. The house simply stood strong in its faith. And why did it do that? Because it was in contact with the rock, the solid rock. It was in communion with Jesus Christ. The house that the wise man built was in contact with the rock. That's why it remained strong in the faith. That's the fight. That's the good fight. It's the fight of faith. That's what Satan's coming for. He wants to knock you out of your faith. If we're in it, if we're in this thing and we're walking this earth, and we have died to ourselves, and the old man is dead, we put him to death, and we are here for the purpose of God, to glorify him and to reveal him, and our home is already in heaven, then we're going to welcome the storms and be unshaken in them, just so that he can be glorified, just so that people can look at the house in that storm and say, who is this God that built this house? I need to know this God. That's when God's going to be glorified. I lay in bed. I think of these analogies, like I don't know if it's my imagination or God's putting them there, but I think of these analogies. And so, like, one analogy I have is, say, imagine that you got in a wreck, your car broke down, and you're a long ways from town. You need a tow truck. You don't have any cash. You get a hold of the tow truck driver, and he's the only one around in this country, and he's like, I don't take cards, dude, and you're gonna have to have cash if you want me to come help you and pick you up. You have to hike all day, all the way into town, find an ATM, get to the bank, get some cash. You're walking through bad heat, through the heat of the summer. I mean, I've been stranded and homeless and stuff a lot, so these things run through my mind. Your feet hurt, you have a miserable day. You're walking along and just grumbling, complaining, and you finally get the cash. You get back to the car, and the tow truck driver shows up, and Satan, he wants you to get into that truck, and he wants to say, look, I'm gonna show who this guy's really living for. You get in that truck, and you get in that truck, and that tow truck driver's, he's on the, he's already kind of a grumpy guy, he's being rude, and you get in that tow truck, and you're just wore out. I mean, you've had a bad day, your feet hurt, you're tired, you're sweating, you're soaking wet from the hiking in the sun all day. And could you imagine if Jesus got in that tow truck and he was like, Jesus get in there and he's all feeling miserable, and this tow truck driver's got a bad attitude, and he's like, look, just don't even start with me. I don't even want to talk to this guy. Like, I just need a break, okay? I don't care about his attitude. I just want to keep his mouth shut. I want to get this car taken care of. I want to get home. Could you imagine Jesus being like that? Jesus wouldn't be like that. He died to himself. Like if you get in that truck as the new man, then maybe you realize that maybe that tow truck driver, like, this is the golden opportunity in his life. Maybe he's just come to the end of his rope where he's finally ready to see a better way to hear the gospel of Jesus. Maybe he's come to a point where he can look at you get in that truck, and you've just spent that whole day hiking through the hot sun, just praising God and spending that time in his presence, and you get in that truck, and God's presence is just on you and around you, and it just knocks him over with the joy and the love that's just emitting out of you. And he looks at you and he's like, dude, this guy has had the worst possible day I can imagine, and why is he like this? And he's just fed up with life. He's had enough. He just can't stand life anymore. And he looks at you and he sees Jesus all over you, and he doesn't know what he's seeing. And he says, I need to know what is up with you? Why are you like this? And that's the moment, the divine appointment that you could actually, he can look at you in your storm and say, I want to know who built your house. Where are you getting this kind of joy and peace and love? What in the world is going on with you? And you give him the gospel, you give him Jesus, and it just changes entire eternity, because Jesus got in the truck, and not the carnal man, not the old man, because you're in it for him and his glory, and not for you, so that you can have a good day and you can get some rest, and the guy with the bad attitude driving the truck would just leave you alone.
Share a story?
Yeah, please do.
Testimony?
Yep.
So, I thought it was 2014, I think. I was in South Carolina, and I was working, doing foreclosure homes, and I bought a truck off my boss. Well, it had South Carolina plates and insurance, all legal, but I still had my Michigan driver's license. Well, I got rear-ended, totaled the truck, and waited 45 minutes for Highway Patrol to get there, only to get a ticket for $500 for having a Michigan driver's license and not a South Carolina one.
Yikes.
So, long story short, I one day was walking to the grocery store to get some milk before work, and I got literally stopped for being white in a black neighborhood. Well, I had a bench warrant for that ticket. I didn't know. I had called the courts, and they said they would send me paperwork on it. I forgot all about it, and they put a bench warrant out for me. So I got picked up and taken to jail on a Friday, and it took me 2 weeks. Couldn't get a hold of anybody, my roommate or my work or anything for 2 weeks. And my sentence was for 30 days, or I had to pay the fine, bail out, pay the fine. So I was already 2 weeks in, and I was so frustrated and upset at that point. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do my time. And I said, there's got to be a reason why God has me. So I started meditating and reading the Bible.
Yeah.
Well, a guy had come in who beat his wife, when he was drunk, or hit his wife when he was drunk. And that was the third time that she took the kids and left him. Well, he kept watching me for days, and then finally he asked me what I was doing. And so I told him about God, and I told him I was reading the Bible and praying and meditating on my yard time. And so I got him into doing it. He started getting into the Bible with me. Well, I had made a call to a friend of mine who was a AA sponsor, and got him hooked up with this guy. And so he left his wife a message and said, I'm not doing this to get back with you. I understand why you left, but I'm going to help myself and get myself better. And I got a sponsor, and I just wanted you to know that. Well, she checked in on that to see if he was telling the truth, and He was. So about a week or so, or 2 weeks, or 2 weeks. It was about almost 2 weeks because I was almost out of jail. He was on the phone for like ever, and then all of a sudden he just comes in, he almost like tackles me, and he's crying, and he's just hugging me, and I'm like, what's going on, dude? He's like, she's gonna take me back. She's gonna give me one more chance, man. That is amazing. That is beautiful. That's God.
Yeah.
And I had called him a year later. I had his phone number, and he is still sober. Well, this was years ago, but he was still sober, happy as could be, had his kids back. And so, the point of the story was that, instead of getting frustrated, I was looking for the reason why I was there, why God had me there. Instead of being mad about it,
Yeah.
going to jail for having a legal driver's license, which I was the first 2 weeks. I was pretty teed off about it.
Right.
But then I found why I was supposed to be there. And
That is awesome.
Again, So,
Yeah, I love it. It's so worth it, right?
yes, it is.
Like, I mean,
Powerful.
if that guy's in heaven praising Jesus for eternity with you, like,
He has his kids and he's happy, his wife,
yeah,
So,
yeah, because he saw God's light right there in the jail cell,
yeah.
I love it. Yeah, yeah, we there's nothing to fear. If we don't fear, then that's a sign to the enemy of their destruction and a sign to us of our salvation. Like, Jesus didn't fear anything. He feared nothing. He knew who he was. He knew he had work to do. He knew what he was here for. He knew he had the promises of God. Like, God is good for his word. Like, what do I have to worry about? Nothing can touch me. If I can't see, like, it's kind of convicted me of some things sometimes, because I've caught myself praying out of worry and fear and need, desperation. I can't see Jesus doing that. I don't see Jesus kicking, screaming, and fighting the enemy.
He actually prayed for other people.
Yeah.
While he was on the truck.
Yeah, cast the enemy out of people, but he could care less what the enemy wanted to try to bring him from the outside. Like, he's untouchable. And that's what he's called us to do. He said, as the Father has sent me, so I'm sending you. Like, he literally lived the 33 years of his life as a man as an example for us how to live. So if I can't see Jesus doing it, then why am I doing it? Why am I trying to have victory over a storm by making it go away? Like, what in the world am I thinking? It just reveals that I'm just doing it for me. And it just reveals that the storm is already won. So that's what God's been sharing with me, and these parables. There's a lot of lessons in these parables. So let's pray. Father, we love you. We thank you, and we surrender to you. And we thank you for your words. We thank you for your life. Thank you for the eternity you've given us. Thank you that you've restored our relationship with you. You've given us eternity in your presence. You've given us access to your presence, Lord. We thank you that in your presence the enemy flees. We thank you that you are protecting us. We thank you that you are keeping us healthy. Thank you for the air we breathe. Thank you for putting us here on this earth today to shine your light. Lord, give us a heart like yours. Help us to see this world through your eyes, the people that are in it through your eyes. Help us to see the potential of what you've given us here, what we can do and accomplish for you. Not to earn your love and approval, but because we already are loved and approved by you. Lord, I ask you to bless this food to our bodies. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.